Was Genesis a metaphor? The shocking truth about creation. Genesis, the true beginning. Welcome to this special presentation, a revelation of the Genesis story as you have never heard it before. This is not just a retelling of the first chapter of the Bible. It is metaphysical decoding of the origin of everything, light, matter, time, consciousnesses, based on the unifying framework I call the Totalis Universum. Genesis is not merely ancient poetry, it is a cosmic blueprint encoded with scientific precision and divine intent. In this video, we will explore the hidden architecture behind the words, "In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth." We will reveal how quantum realm, the structure of space-time and the divine order of creation converge into one unified truth. A truth that bridges physics, metaphysics, and theology. Whether you are a scientist, a seeker, or someone who has always felt there was more to Genesis than meets the eye, this journey is for you. Like, subscribe and stay tuned. The next revelation is already unfolding. Let us begin.
My understanding is a continuation from the present belief of what the Bible says to the next stage, which is the beginning of the real understanding of the Bible. God created the universe and everything within it, from the very beginning up to the present time in our physical world of reality. From the very point when God finished his holy work, the seventh day, a sinful man through science began to retrace God's holy work. The present Christian doctrinal interpretation of God's creation of the heavens and the earth can be summarized as, at the beginning there was darkness and waters, and eventually some water disappeared into the earth, and then the land and dry ground appeared. This Christian doctrinal explanation cannot tell us where we will find all of the biblical places, like heaven, paradise, purgatory, the cleansing places, the dwelling place of God, chasm, bottomless pit, hell, and so on. Nor can it explain Genesis using scientific language. The general scientific understanding of the Big Bang and the inflationary universe is not much better. It states that there were almost equal proportions of matter and antimatter generated after the Big Bang, and that after annihilation between matter and antimatter, a bit more matter, 4%, was somehow left over to form our visible universe, which means that 96% of our universe is not accounted for, it's missing. This theory of annihilation never happened, because as matter and antimatter are created, at the same time the necessary forces are created to keep them apart. In the process of creating the universes, such as the medius and terrestrial universes, three fundamental prerequisites must be present. 1. A base energy level. 2. A universal law and order established within the base energy. And 3. The base energy must be connected at all times to all evolved universes, energy states, levels, and matter. A brief history of God's creation according to biblical text and my observations. Genesis 1:2 says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters." The three different colors in this figure represent the energy in the state of plasma. The waters, energy which is the finest, the most fundamental, the densest and hottest state of energy there is. This is the place, the biblical waters energy, over which the Spirit of God was moving. This above verse is accurately describing the situation that existed at this point in history in universal time. before the energy started to manipulate itself into other states and levels, eventually forming our solid reality, including the observer. In the scientific cosmological theory, this point in universal time, in the beginning, represents events just after the Big Bang, when scattering energy started going through the interactions known as the Grand Unification. The dwelling place of God is holier than the celestial or heavenly world, and is beyond our earthly or celestial or heavenly time. God started his holy work using his own unlimited nature, God's particles, as a base energy for creating the celestial universes and forming the terrestrial universes, including our planet Earth. In this way, in each and every celestial and terrestrial particle, antiparticle, an atom, etc., we can find God's particles as the most basic particle which sustains everything within the celestial and terrestrial universes. The first day of God's holy work. Genesis 1, 3-5. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, one day. Which means that first God created the celestial universe's building block. God began the evolution of the universe through a chain reaction. Beginning with his own nature, God's particle, he created new celestial particles, energy state level number 1, as building blocks, which generated the celestial elementary particles, energy state level, which was in turn to lead to the formation of positrons, then electrons, for the celestial energy level, and created the first light. This light belongs to the celestial universe, and it is not visible to us on our terrestrial earthly level of reality. Therefore, the first day marked the beginning of God's creation, the expansion and evolution of the celestial universes. When we talk of heavenly matter, heavenly space, heavenly universe, and heavenly celestial matter, the firmament, it refers to the celestial universe, a place that consists of a much finer energy structure than our reality, and it is invisible and undetectable by human senses of perception. The second day of God's holy work. Genesis 1, 6-8. And God said, "Let there be firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And there was evening, and there was morning, the second day." Which means then God created the celestial universe's solid matter and its space-time. Genesis 1, 3-8 deals with the creation of the celestial universe's nature, the heavens. This has nothing to do with our terrestrial universes and planet Earth. The third day of God's holy work. Genesis 1, 9-13. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas, a third day. Which means, then God formed dry land, earth. God is telling us about his holy work in manifesting our physical earth. Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, means in this context that the combinations of waters, energy, which in this context is energy from quarks and elementary particle energy levels, grouped into one place forming the atom energy level, the biblical name, seas, from which dry land, solid matter, was manifested. God formed dry land, meaning the terrestrial universe, including our planet Earth. and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. The waters are energy state level number 5, composed of quarks and gluons in the state of plasma. Number 7, composed of neutron protons, and number 9, composed of electrons. Particles from each of those energy states were grouped together to form an atomic energy level. Our observable reality is made from these subatomic ingredients. The fourth day of God's holy work, the sun and the moon. Genesis 1, 14-19. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years, and let them be lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. Which means, then God formed the moon and sun, giving light to the earth. This means that when we look back into our beginning of our terrestrial physical matter and light, then that first photon and that first visible light did not derive from the original Big Bang, but from the terrestrial building block which came into existence on the 4th day, which is much later in the universal history of time. Our visual sense will detect only our earthly visible light spectrum, and not heavenly light spectrum or anti-light spectrum particles of light. The celestial heavenly photons are beyond our sensual ability of perception. The 5th day of God's holy work. Genesis 1, 20-23. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the firmament of the heavens." So God created the great sea monsters, and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm, according to their kinds, and every winged bird, according to its kind, a 5th day. Which means then God created sea life and birds. The 6th day of God's holy work. Genesis 1, 26-31. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And there was evening and there was morning, a 6th day. Which means, and then finally God created animals and man on the earth. Genesis 1, 11-31 deals with the evolution of life on planet Earth, beginning with microbes, the simplest organisms from which animal life evolved. Then came the most basic life in the sea and air, with animals on land, and then finally the emergence of Adam and Eve, the modern human being. For more detailed explanations of these in Genesis, see my books, The Ultimate Unity of Everything, a brief history of God's creations. The biblical events in Genesis chapter 1 describes the evolutionary order of life on planet Earth, more than 2,000 years before the emergence of the scientific theory of evolution. Darwin's theory is just a confirmation of the written facts. The Totalis universe is organized and run by the universal law and order of nature, God's law. Hence it is impossible to even contemplate the universe without the base energy level, with the incorporated law and order of nature, which bind the evolutionary growth of the Totalis universe into the sustainable future.
Genesis and the science of creation. Summarizing my understanding of Genesis. Days 1-3, the quantum world emerges. Neutral particles, elementary particles, antiparticles, pairs, energy states, and fundamental forces take form, aligning with quantum mechanics. Die 4. Relativity and cosmic order. The sun, moon, star and galaxy emerge, reflecting Einstein's theory of relativity and the structuring of space-time and gravity. Dies 5 to 6. Evolution of matter and life. Molecular complexity leads to biological evolution, from sea life to land creature and humanity, aligning with modern science. This view presents Genesis as a layered blueprint of creation, merging theology with the physics and evolution. Yes, I know, it is hard to understand something we know very little about. Some truths about the universe are so vast, so deep, that they stretch far beyond what our eyes can see or our hands can touch. But don't worry, the best way to explore those mysteries is with one of the greatest gifts we have been given, imagination. Universe is like a cosmic cake. Imagine the whole universe is like a giant three-layered cake. Each layer is made of different kind of energy and purpose. And together they form the most amazing creation ever. Let us explore each layer one by one. Top layer, Minimus, the Minimus universe. God's home, the sources of everything. This is the highest, holiest and most powerful part of the universe. It is where God lives, the beginning of everything. It is made of the strongest, purest energy you can imagine, but it is invisible and beyond space or time. Think of it like a brain or heart of the whole universe, guiding everything below. It is not a place you can visit with a rocket. It is even more real than anything you can see. Middle layer, the medius heavenly universe. This is bridge between God and our world. It is filled with a gentle, glowing energy. Jesus Christ and angels live here. It carries the ideas, dreams, blueprints that shape our universe. Imagine it like a magical middle layer full of light and love connecting heaven and earth. Bottom layer, terrestrial universe, our world, the physical universe. This is where you and I live, the world of stars, planets, animals and people. It is made of atoms and particles, energy that's turned into real stuff, like trees, ocean and even your body. This layer is the most solid and easiest for us to see and touch. It's like a bottom layer of the cake, full of flavor, color and life. And guess what? All three layers work together like a perfect team. The Minimus universe gives purpose and power. Medius universe share the plan and light. The terrestrial universe make it all real and alive. My aim is to show that ancient sacred texts, especially the Bible, are maps of reality, and that science, theology and metaphysics are different expressions of one unified truth. In my Totalis Universum, Latin for whole universe, I will argue that God is not delusion, directly challenging Professor Richard Dawkins' the God illusion. Dawkins is a highly educated and influential thinker, and I agree with parts of his head critical. Religion has often been misused in the name of God, corrupted by human ego and ignorance. However, Dawkins crosses a line where he dismisses all spiritual realities as legend. His worldview is confined to materialism, reducing existence to blind mechanical processes. He mocks the biblical account without engaging its deeper metaphysical meaning. Dawkins fixates on day 6 of Genesis, the creation of humans, while ignoring the profound cosmic architecture laid out in the preceding days. Genesis does not begin with apes evolving into humans. It starts with the light, the quantum realm, where particles, antiparticles, and essences, energy states, and levels emerge. Then comes relativity and cosmic order. The sun, moon, and star, set in precise mathematical harmony, die forth. Only after this foundation does evolution unfold, dies 5 and 6, leading to life, consciousnesses, and the human spirit. Dawkins claimed to champion reason but follow materialism blindly. He dismissed the soul and spirit itself and yet cannot explain life, order, or consciousness. Evolution is real, but in essence anticipates it in a deeply structured symbolic form. In an era when 96% of the universe remain unseen and undefined, it is intellectually dishonest to proclaim certainty about God's non-existence. Books like God's Delusion prize as definitive, yet they rest on incomplete science and spiritual blindness. Rejecting God because we can't detect Him is like a blind man denying the existence of life. It is not reason, it is pride. True science humbles itself before the unknown. True theology honors the eternal. Only those unwilling to explore beyond the microscope mock what they refuse to understand. Share this journey with others, comment below, subscribe now, let's build a conscious world one insight at a time. In the future, part of humanity will have to swallow its pride and rethink its current theory if we truly want to move forward in the search to understand who we are, where we come from, and where God fits into it all. This is where the journey must begin. Meta and antimatter did not annihilate, both left behind structure. Cosmic inflation never happened. The universe expanded through the energy-layered sphere. The singularity wasn't tiny, it was vast and radiant. I am witness to it. There was no total energy transfer. Rings evolved through partial exchanges. Structure remained. Earth is the most primitive level. I was told this by the highest intelligence, and now I see clearly. Join me on the first ever voyage into quantum world, where no planets, stars or galaxy. The Totalis Universum is not just a theory, it is a story waiting to be understood. Together we will uncover mysteries that science alone cannot explain. Dark energy, dark matter, the invisible forces shaping the cosmos. And yet, we will also journey through sacred landmarks described in the most ancient texts. The Garden of Eden, 4 rivers, the Great Sea echoing both in scripture and in cosmology. I'll take you inside a black hole, not in theory, but in structure, where time slows and the black hole itself reaches the end. I shall show you the place where God formed Adam, where He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life and man became a living being. Yes, it still exists, it right where it always had. And what of the beings who walk between worlds, terrestrial and celestial? 2 forms of intelligence beyond imagination. Where do they come from? How do they move faster than light? How do they pass through walls, appear, disappear, and why do they keep their distance from us? The journey begins between the world of relativity and the world of quantum, between science and spirit, between what is now and what is eternal. This is the Totalis Universum, the unity of everything. I am Nikola Dragovic, and remember, all is united in the Totalis Universum. Thank you.